Section 46 of The Dream of the Red Chamber, Book 2. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information on the volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Dream of the Red Chamber, Book 2, by Xueqin, translated by Henry Bancroft Joly, Chapter 48, Part 1. A sensual-minded man gets into such trouble through his sensuality that he entertains the idea of going abroad. An estimable and refined girl manages, after great exertion, to compose verses at a refined meeting. But to resume our story, after hearing his mother's arguments, Xueqin's indignation gradually abated, but notwithstanding that his pains and aches completely disappeared in 3 or 5 days' time, the scars of his wounds were not yet healed, and shamming illness he remained at home. So ashamed was he to meet any of his relations or friends. In a twinkle, the 10th moon drew near, and as several among the partners in the various shops with which he was connected wanted to go home after the settlement of the annual accounts, he had to give them a farewell spread at home. In their number was one Zhang Dehui, who from his early years filled the post of manager in Xueqin's pawnshop, and who enjoyed in his home a living of 2,000 or 3,000 taels. His purpose too was to visit his native place this year and to return the following spring. Stationery and perfumery have been so scarce this year, he consequently represented that prices will next year inevitably be high. So when next year comes, what I will do will be to send out my elder and younger sons ahead of me to look after the pawnshop, and when I start on my way back before the Dragon Festival, I will purchase a stock of paper, scents, and fans and bring them for sale. And though we'll have to reduce the duties payable at the barriers and other expenses, there will still remain for us a considerable percentage of profit. This proposal set Xueqin musing. With the dressing I've recently had, he pondered, I cannot very well at present appear before anyone. Were the fancy to take me to get out of the way for half a year or even a year, there isn't a place where I can safely retire. And to sham illness day after day isn't again quite the right thing. In addition to this, here I've reached this grown-up age, and yet I'm neither a civilian nor a soldier. It's true I call myself a merchant, but I've never in point of facts handled the scales or the abacus. Nor do I know anything about our territories, customs and manners, distances and routes. So wouldn't it be advisable that I should also get ready some of my capital and go on a tour with Zhang Dehui for a year or so? Whether I earn any money or not will be equally immaterial to me. More, I shall escape from all disgrace. It will, secondly, be a good thing for me to see a bit of country. This resolution once arrived at in his mind, he waited until they rose from the banquet, when he, with calmness and equanimity, brought his plans to Zhang Dehui's connaissance, and asked him to postpone his departure for a day or two so that they should proceed on the journey together. In the evening, he imparted the tidings to his mother. Mrs. Xie, upon hearing his intention, was albeit delighted, tormented with fresh misgivings lest he should stir up trouble abroad. For as far as the expense was concerned, she deemed it a mere bagatelle, and she consequently would not permit him to go. You have, she reasoned with him, to take proper care of me, so that I may be able to live in peace. Another thing is that you can well dispense with all this buying and selling, for you are in no need of the few hundreds of taels you may make. Xueqin had long ago thoroughly resolved in his mind what to do, and he did not therefore feel disposed to listen to her remonstrances. You daily tax me, he pleaded, with being ignorant of the world, with not knowing this and not learning that. And now that I stir up my good resolution with the idea of putting an end to all traveling, and that I wish to become a man, to do something for myself and learn how to carry on business. You won't let me. But what would you have me do? Besides, I'm not a girl that you should coop me up at home. And when is this likely to come to an end? Jiang Dehui is, moreover, a man well up in years, and he is an old friend of our family. So if I go with him, however will I be able to do anything that's wrong? Should I at any time be guilty of any impropriety, he will be sure to speak to me and to exalt me. He even knows the prices of things and customs of trade, and as I shall, as a matter of course, consult him in everything, what advantage won't I enjoy? But if you refuse to let me go, I'll wait for a couple of days, and without breathing a word to anyone at home, I will furtively make my preparations and start. And when by next year I shall have made my fortune and come back, you will at length know what stuff I'm made of. When he had done speaking, he flew into a huff and went off to sleep. Mrs. Xue felt impelled, after the arguments she heard him propound, to deliberate with Baochai. If brother, Baochai smilingly rejoined, were in real earnest about gaining experience in some legitimate concerns, it would be well and good. But though he speaks, now that he is at home, in a plausible manner, the moment he gets abroad, his old mania will break out again, and it will be hard to exercise any check over him. Yet it isn't worth the while distressing yourself too much about him. If he does actually mend his ways, it will be the happiness of our whole lives. But if he doesn't change, you won't, mother, be able to do anything more. For though in part it depends on human exertion, it in part depends upon the will of heaven. If you keep on giving way to fears that, with his lack of worldly experience, he can't be fit to go abroad and can't be up to any business, and you lock him up at home this year, why, next year he will be just the same. Such being the case, you would better, Ma, since his arguments are right and specious enough, make up your mind to sacrifice from 800 to 1,000 taels and let him have them for a try. He'll at all events have one of his partners to lend him a helping hand, one who won't either think it a nice thing to play any of his tricks upon him. In the second place, there will be, when he's gone, no one to the left of him or to the right of him, to stand by him and no one upon whom to rely. For when one goes abroad, who cares for anyone else? Those who have, eat, and those who haven't, starve. When he therefore casts his eyes about him and realizes that there's no one to depend upon, he may, upon seeing this, be up to less mischief than were he to stay at home. But of course, there's no saying. Mrs. Xue listened to her and communed within herself for a moment. What you say is indeed right and proper, she remarked. And could one, by spending a small sum, make him learn something profitable, it would be well worth. They then matured their plans, and nothing further of any note transpired during the rest of the night. The next day, Mrs. Xue sent a messenger to invite Jiang Dehui to come round. On his arrival, she charged Xueqin to regale him in the library. Then, appearing in person outside the window of the covered back passage, she made thousands of appeals to Jiang Dehui to look after her son and take good care of him. Jiang Dehui assented to her solicitations with profuse assurances, and took his leave after the collation. The 14th, he went on to explain to Xueqin, is a propitious day to start. So, with a friend, you'd better be quick and pack up your baggage and hire a mule, for us to begin our long journey as soon as the day dawns on the 14th. Xueqin was intensely gratified, and he communicated their plans to Mrs. Xue. Mrs. Xue then set to and worked away with the assistance of Baochai, Qianglin, and 2 old nurses for several consecutive days before she got his luggage ready. She fixed upon the husband of Xueqin's nurse an old man with hoary head, 2 old servants with ample experience and long services, and 2 young pages who acted as Xueqin's constant attendants to go with him as his companions. So the party mustered, inclusive of master and followers, 6 persons in all. 3 large carts were hired for the sole purpose of carrying the baggage and requisites, and 4 mules, suitable for long journeys, were likewise engaged. A tall, dark brown, homebred mule was selected for Xueqin's use, but a saddle horse as well was provided for him. After the various preparations had been effected, Mrs. Xue Baochai and the other inmates attended him night after night words of advice. But we can well dispense with dilating on this topic. On the arrival of the 13th, Xueqin went and bade goodbye to his maternal uncles, after which he came and paid his farewell visit to the members of the Jia household. Jia Zhen and the other male relatives unavoidably prepared an entertainment to speed him off, but to these festivities there is likewise little need to allude with any minuteness. On the 14th, at break of day, Mrs. Xue Baochai and the other members of the family accompanied Xueqin beyond the ceremonial gate. Here his mother and her daughter stood and watched him, their 4 eyes fixed intently on him, until he got out of sight, when they at length retraced their footsteps into the house. Mrs. Xue had, in coming up to the capital, only brought 4 or 5 family domestics and 2 or 3 old matrons and waiting maids with her. So after the departure on the recent occasion of those who followed Xueqin, no more than 1 or 2 men servants remained in the outer quarters. Mrs. Xue repaired therefore on the very same day into the study, and had the various ornaments, bric-a-brac, curtains, and other articles removed into the inner compound and put away. Then, bidding the wives of the 2 male attendants who had gone with Xueqin likewise move their quarters inside, along with the other women, she went on to impress upon Xiangling to put everything carefully away in her own room as well, and to lock the doors. For, she said, you must come at night and sleep with me. Since you've got all these people to keep you company, Ma, Baochai remarked, wouldn't it be as well to tell Sister Lin to come and be my companion? Our garden is, besides, quite empty, and the nights are so long. And as I work away every night, won't it be better for me to have an extra person with me? Quite so, smiled Mrs. Xue. I forgot that. I should have told her to go with you. It's but right. It was only the other day that I mentioned to your brother that Wen Xing too was young and not fit to attend to everything that turns up, that Ying could not alone do all the waiting, and that it was necessary to purchase another girl for your service. If we buy one, we won't know what she's really like, Baochai demurred. If she gives us the slip, the money we may have spent on her will be a mere trifle, so long as she hasn't been up to any pranks. So let's quietly make inquiries, and when we find one with well-known antecedents, we can purchase her, and we'll be on the safe side then. While speaking, she told Xiangling to collect her bedding and clothes, and desiring an old matron and Jin to take them over to the Hengwu Yuan. Baochai returned at last into the garden in company with Xiangling. I meant to have proposed to my lady, Xiangling said to Baochai, that when master left, I should be your companion, miss, but I feared lest her ladyship should, with that suspicious mind of hers, have maintained that I was longing to come into the garden to romp. But who'd have thought it was you, after all, who spoke to her about it? I'm well aware, Baochai smiled, that you've been inwardly yearning for this garden, and that not for a day or 2, but with the little time you can call your own, you would find it no fun. Were you even able to run over once in a day, so long as you have to do it in a hurry-scurry? Seize therefore this opportunity of staying, better still for a year, as I, on my side, will then have an extra companion, and you on yours will be able to accomplish your wishes. My dear miss, laughingly observed Xiangling, do let's make the best of this time, and teach me how to write verses. I say, Baochai laughed, you no sooner get the Long state than you long for the Su. I'd advise you to wait a bit. This is the first day that you spend in here, and you should, first and foremost, go out of the garden by the eastern side gate and look up and salute everyone in her respective quarters, commencing from our old lady. But you needn't make it a point of telling them that you've moved into the garden. If anyone does allude to the reason why you've shifted your quarters, you can simply explain cursorily that I've brought you in as a companion and then drop the subject. On your return by and by into the garden, you can pay a visit to the apartments of each of the young ladies. Xiangling signified her acquiescence and was about to start when she saw Ping Er rush in with hurried step. Xiangling hastened to ask after her health, and Ping Er felt compelled to return her smile and reciprocate her inquiry. I've brought her in today, Baochai thereupon smilingly said to Ping Er, to make a companion of her. She was just on the point of going to tell your lady about it. What is this that you are saying, miss? Ping Er rejoined with a smile. I really am at a loss what reply to make to you. It's the right thing, Baochai answered. In a house there's the master, and in a temple there's the chief priest. It's true, it's no important concern, but something must, in fact, be mentioned, so that those who sit up on night duty in the garden may be aware that these two have been added to my rooms, and know when to close the gates and when to wait. When you get back, therefore, do mention it, so that I mayn't have to send someone to tell them. Ping Er promised to carry out her wishes. As you are moved in here, she said to Xiangling, won't you go and pay your respects to your neighbors? I just this very moment, Baochai smiled, told her to go and do so. You needn't, however, go to our house, Ping Er remarked. Our Mr. Secundus is laid up at home. Xiangling assented and went off, passing first and foremost by Dowager Lady Jia's apartments. But without devoting any of our attention to her, we will revert to Ping Er. Seeing Xiangling walked out of the room, she drew Baochai near her. Miss, have you heard our news? She inquired in a low tone of voice. I haven't heard any news, Baochai responded. We've been daily so busy in getting my brother's things ready for his voyage abroad that we know nothing whatever of any of your affairs in here. I haven't even seen anything of my female cousins these last 2 days. Our master, Mr. Jia Shi, has beaten our Mr. Secundus to such a degree that he can't budge. Ping Er smiled. But is it likely, miss, that you have heard nothing about it? This morning, Baochai said by way of reply, I heard a vague report on the subject, but I didn't believe it could be true. I was just about to go and look up your mistress when you unexpectedly arrived. But why did he beat him again? Ping Er set her teeth to and gave way to abuse. It's all on account of some Jia Yu Chun or other, a starved and half-dead boorish bastard who went yonder quite unexpectedly. It isn't yet 10 years since we've known him, and he has been the cause of ever so much trouble. In the spring of this year, Mr. Jia Shi saw somewhere or other, I can't tell where, a lot of antique fans. So when on his return home, he noticed that the fine fans stored away in the house were all of no use. He at once directed servants to go everywhere and hunt up some like those he had seen. Who'd have anticipated it? They came across a reckless creature of retribution, dubbed by common consent the Stone Fool, who, though so poor as to not even have any rice to put to his mouth, happened to have at home 20 antique fans. But these he utterly refused to take out of his main door. Our Mr. Secundus had thus a precious lot of bother to ask ever so many favors of people. But when he got to see the man, he made endless appeals to him before he could get him to invite him to go and sit in his house. When producing the fans, he allowed him to have a short inspection of them. From what our Mr. Secundus says, it would be really difficult to get any the like of them. They are made entirely of spotted black bamboo, and the stacks and jade-like clusters of bamboo on them are the genuine pictures, drawn by men of olden times. When he got back, he explained these things to Mr. Jia, who readily asked him to buy them, and give the man his own price for them. The stone fool, however, refused. Were I even to be dying from hunger, he said, or perishing from frostbites, and so much as 1,000 taels were offered me for each single fan, I wouldn't part with them. Mr. Jia could do nothing, but day after day he abused our Mr. Secundus as a good-for-nothing. Yet he had long ago promised the man 500 taels, payable cash down in advance, before delivery of the fans. But he would not sell them. If you want the fans, he had answered, you must first of all take my life. Now, miss, do consider what was to be done. But Yu Chun is, as it happens, a man with no regard for divine justice. Well, when he came to hear of it, he at once devised a plan to lay hold of these fans. So fabricating the charge against him of letting a government debt drag on without payment, he had him arrested and brought before him in the Yamen, when he adjudicated that his family property should be converted into money to make up the amount due to the public chest. And confiscating the fans in question, he set an official value on them and sent them over here. And as for that stone fool, no one now has the faintest idea whether he be dead or alive. Mr. Jia, however, taunted Mr. Secundus. How is it, he said, that other people can manage to get them? Our master simply rejoined that to bring ruin upon a person in such a trivial matter could not be accounted ability. But at these words, his father suddenly rushed into a fury, and averred that Mr. Secundus had said things to gag his mouth. This was the main cause. But several minor matters which I can't even recollect also occurred during these last few days. So when all these things accumulated, he set to work and gave him a sound thrashing. He didn't, however, drag him down and strike him with a rattan or cane, but recklessly assaulted him while he stood before him with something or other, which he laid hold of, and broke his face open in 2 places. We understand that Mrs. Xue has in here some medicine or other for applying on wounds, so do try, miss, and find a bore of it, and let me have it. Hearing this, Baochai speedily directed Ying-er to go and look for some, and on discovering 2 balls of it, she brought them over and handed them to Ping-er. Such being the case, Baochai said, do make on your return the usual inquiries for me, and I won't then need to go. Ping-er turned towards Baochai and expressed her readiness to execute her commission, after which she betook herself home, where we will leave her without further notice. End of section 46.